Hello and welcome to this edition of News Today. Without delay, let's have a look at the headlines first. India pushes for WTO reforms at Paris Ministerial. Security forces launched operations along India-Myanmar border. India-Kyrgyzstan bilateral investment treaty officially enters into force. India showcases world's largest disaster risk reduction financing system at the 8th GPDRR 2025. India and Australia marks 5 years of comprehensive strategic partnership. At a recent high-level mini-ministerial meeting in Paris, which brought together 25 WTO members, India made a strong pitch for reforming the World Trade Organization. The Union Minister for Commerce and Industry outlined India's vision for a modernized WTO, one that effectively addresses trade distortions and strengthens multilateral governance. So, what exactly is India proposing? Let's break it down. Starting with non-tariff barriers, India raised concerns over issues like sanitary and phytosanitary measures, technical standards, anti-dumping suits, import quotas, and import licensing. These, according to India, restrict market access. For instance, the EU's maximum residue levels for India's non-basmati parboiled rice has been a point of contention. Next, India emphasized the need to address distortions caused by non-market economies. These distortions occur when governments intervene in the market to influence competition and favor certain domestic players. A notable example India pointed out was China's export quota on rare earths. Moving forward, revival of the WTO dispute settlement system was another critical point. The system has remained dysfunctional since 2019, primarily due to the US opposing the appointment of appellate body members. Interestingly, while many have looked towards the Multi-Party Interim Appeal Arbitration Arrangement or MPIA as an alternative, India has opposed this mechanism. India also made it clear that it is opposed to bringing plurilateral initiatives under the WTO's framework. These are agreements negotiated by only a subgroup of members rather than the entire body. One such example is the Investment Facilitation for Development or IFT, which hasn't been accepted by countries like India and South Africa. Additionally, India voiced its resistance to expanding the WTO's mandate beyond traditional trade issues. The argument here is that including non-trade concerns could further divide member countries. An example of this stance is India's opposition to the EU's proposed carbon tax. So, to sum it up, India's assertive stance at the WTO ministerial meeting in Paris highlights its commitment to reviving and reforming the multilateral trading system. With a collective resolve among member nations to respect WTO's core principle, there's hope for practical solutions within the existing frameworks that can promote global trade growth. In the next news of the day, the Defence Ministry has confirmed that Indian security forces have launched operations in Arunachal Pradesh along the India-Myanmar border. This action follows specific intelligence inputs regarding the movement of unknown armed individuals in the region. Now, let's understand the broader context of why this area remains sensitive. The India-Myanmar border has long faced cross-border security threats, particularly in the northeast. To begin with, there's the issue of insurgent activities. Groups like NSCNK, ULFAI, PLA and NDFP have frequently used Myanmar as a safe haven for training, regrouping and launching attacks against Indian security forces. Then, there's the fallout of the 2021 military coup in Myanmar, which triggered significant political turmoil. This led to a spillover of refugees, especially ethnic Chinns and Rohingyas, into Indian states, resulting in law and order challenges, pressure on local resources, and rising resentment among local populations. Adding to this is the serious concern of arms and drug trafficking. Drugs flowing in from the Golden Triangle, the region where Myanmar, Laos, and Thailand meet, continue to enter Manipur and Mizoram, intensifying the problem of drug abuse in the region. So, what steps has India taken to deal with these complex challenges? On the legal and policy front, measures like the National Register of Citizens or NRC in Assam have been implemented to identify illegal migrants. Additionally, India has scrapped the free movement regime with Myanmar to tighten cross-border regulations. In terms of counter-insurgency efforts, joint operations like Operation Sunrise, carried out by the Indian Army and Myanmar Army have been launched to dismantle insurgent camps across the border. Meanwhile, agencies like the Narcotics Control Bureau or NCB and the Directorate of Revenue Intelligence or DRI are actively working to intercept drug smuggling networks. Finally, when it comes to border infrastructure and surveillance, India is strengthening its border management systems. Initiatives include smart fencing under the Comprehensive Integrated Border Management System or CIBMS and enhancing border outposts to improve monitoring and response capabilities. To sum up, the latest operation in Arunachal is not an isolated event. It's part of India's wider strategy to address persistent cross-border threats and ensure security along the India-Myanmar frontier. The India-Kyrgyzstan Bilateral Investment Treaty, originally signed in June 2019, has officially come into force on 5th June 2025. This new agreement replaces the earlier BIT of 2000, ensuring that investment protection between the two nations continues, but with stronger, more modern frameworks in place. So what is new in this treaty? The BIT is carefully designed to balance investor rights with the sovereign regulatory powers of both nations. The goal is to foster a resilient, transparent investment climate. Now, let's talk about the key features of this treaty. First, it introduces an enterprise-based definition of assets with a clear inclusion-exclusion list. It outlines characteristics like capital commitment, expected returns, and risk assumption. It also protects domestic policy space by excluding areas like local government functions, government procurement, taxation, and compulsory licensing. Notably, the treaty removes the most favored nation or MFN clause, preventing investors from cherry-picking favorable terms from other treaties, a step towards more consistent and fair treatment. The BIT includes general and security exceptions like safeguarding the environment, public health, and safety, thereby respecting the host country's right to regulate. The dispute resolution mechanism has also been revised. Before approaching international arbitration, investors are now required to exhaust local remedies, promoting a more balanced approach to conflict resolution. And to understand this better, what is a BIT? A bilateral investment treaty is also known as an international investment agreement. It assures foreign investors protection against arbitrary measures while preserving the host country's sovereignty. It also allows investors or their home countries to legally challenge the host state if investment-related issues arise. Since approving its model BIT text in 2015, India has signed similar treaties with countries like Belarus, Brazil, UAE, and Uzbekistan. So, with the India-Kyrgyzstan BIT now in effect, this reflects yet another step in strengthening India's global investment ties while securing its regulatory autonomy. Moving on, India has made a compelling case for global disaster resilience at the 8th Global Platform for Disaster Risk Reduction or GPDRR 2025 held in Geneva. During the platform, India highlighted a major gap: the absence of a dedicated international financial mechanism to support the establishment of disaster risk reduction or DRR financing systems. In response, India called for the creation of a global facility backed by the UN system and multilateral financial institutions to provide catalytic funding, technical assistance, and a platform for knowledge exchange. Now moving to India's own model. India showcased the world's largest disaster risk reduction financing system, rooted in its core philosophy that a strong and responsive DRR financing architecture is the cornerstone of resilience. Let's take a look at how India has progressed in DRR financing. Initially, Early Finance Commission allocated INR 60 million, roughly USD 0.7 million. Today, under the 15th Finance Commission, this allocation exceeds a whopping INR 2.32 trillion or approximately USD 28 billion. And what makes this system unique? India follows a predetermined rule-based allocation mechanism, flowing from national to state and district levels, all backed by the Disaster Management Act of 2005. This transformation means disaster financing in India is now structured and predictable, not just a reaction to crisis. Further, India's DRR financing approach rests on 4 key principles. First, dedicated financial windows for preparedness, mitigation, relief, and recovery. Second, a focus on the needs of affected people and vulnerable communities. Third, accessibility of financial resources at all levels of government, central, state, and local. And fourth, ensuring accountability, transparency, and measurable outcomes in all expenditures. Along with that, India is also actively strengthening global cooperation through initiatives like the Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure or CDRI. Let's now understand a few quick facts about CDRI. It was launched by India at the UN Climate Action Summit in 2019. It is a global partnership of nations, UN agencies, multilateral development banks, and the private sector. Its objective is to promote the resilience of infrastructure systems to climate and disaster risks, ensuring sustainable development. And its secretariat is located in New Delhi, India. As part of related developments at the GPDRR 2025, the African Union officially joined the Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure (CDRI) as its 54th member. This announcement also came on the margins of the GPDRR 2025 in Geneva. And a quick note on GPDRR itself. Established in 2006, the global platform is a critical forum where participants review progress, exchange new knowledge, and discuss trends in reducing disaster risk. Recognized by the United Nations General Assembly, the GPDRR plays a critical role in reviewing progress on the implementation of the Sendai Framework for Disaster Risk Reduction. The theme for GPDRR 2025 is Every Day Counts, Act for Resilience Today. India and Australia have just marked 5 years of their Comprehensive Strategic Partnership or CSP, a milestone that reflects the growing depth and scope of their bilateral ties. Both countries reaffirmed their shared vision for a free, open, stable, and prosperous Indo-Pacific, which continues to guide their joint efforts. They also welcomed the signing of a joint research project and reiterated their commitment to counter terrorism in all its forms. To recall, in 2020, the two countries upgraded their relationship from a strategic partnership to a comprehensive strategic partnership, opening doors to greater collaboration across key sectors. So, what are the key areas of cooperation under this CSP? Let's break it down. In science, tech, and research, both countries have collaborated through platforms like the Australia-India Strategic Research Fund, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic. On maritime cooperation, they support the Indo-Pacific Oceans Initiative or IPOI, promoting an open and inclusive Indo-Pacific region. In the field of defense, there's the Mutual Logistical Support Agreement, regular 2+2 dialogue. On the diplomatic front, they engage through forums like the East Asia Summit and the United Nations for multilateral cooperation. When it comes to countering terrorism, both nations advocate for the early adoption of a comprehensive convention on international terrorism or CCIT. On the economic front, they work together through agreements like the Double Taxation Avoidance Agreement or DTAA. And finally, there's collaboration in people-to-people ties, agriculture, and other sectors that help strengthen grassroots-level connectivity. Now, let's connect this to India's broader foreign policy goals. First, the CSP strengthens the vision of a free and open Indo-Pacific. Both nations are part of the Quad, along with the US and Japan, collaborating on maritime security and regional stability. Joint military exercises like AUS-INDEX and Malabar further enhance interoperability and naval cooperation. Second, it helps in the diversification of India's strategic and economic partnerships, especially through the Economic Cooperation and Trade Agreement or ECTA and the Supply Chain Resilience Initiative with Japan. And third, it deepens India's multilateral and regional engagement through joint participation in platforms like the East Asia Summit and the Indian Ocean Rim Association. So, 5 years into the CSP, it's clear India and Australia are not just partners but strategic collaborators, advancing shared interests in a fast-changing global landscape. As we conclude today's main news, let's have a look at some quick updates. Election Commission of India has introduced a streamlined technology-driven system to generate index cards and statistical reports, replacing the older manual, time-consuming methods. Index cards are non-statutory post-election statistical reporting format developed by ECI as a suo motu initiative. ICA organized the third edition of its International Conference on Arbitrating Indo-UK Commercial Disputes during the London International Disputes Week 2025. The ICA is India's premier arbitration institution established in 1965. US hits International Criminal Court or ICC judges with sanctions over investigation into Israel. International Criminal Court was established under Rome Statute 2002. Its headquarters is in The Hague, the Netherlands. The Salt Aviation partners with Tata Advanced Systems for Rafale fighter fuselage production in India. India is set to become the first nation other than France where the Rafale fuselage will be manufactured. On the occasion of World Environment Day, Prime Minister highlighted the importance of reforesting the Aravalli Range under the Aravalli Green Wall project. He also said that the plantation activities Aravalli Range and beyond will also be geotagged and monitored on the Miri Life portal. Tamil Nadu notified Greater Flamingo Sanctuary at Dhanushkodi to preserve a critical stopover point along the Central Asian Flyway for thousands of migratory wetland birds. The Greater Flamingo, listed as least concern on the IUCN Red List, is found across Africa, Western Asia, including India and Southern Europe. The Environment Ministry launched the National Plastic Waste Reporting Portal on the eve of World Environment Day 2025. This platform aims to enable comprehensive waste tracking, capturing the entire plastic waste management ecosystem, from waste pickers to processing and final disposal. Recently, a Chinese national was charged with conspiracy and smuggling a potent plant pathogen, Fusarium graminearum, into the US, raising concerns of agroterrorism. Agroterrorism means deliberate use of biological agents to destroy agriculture. Union Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment launched a nationwide digital application, Waste Picker Enumeration App, for profiling waste pickers under the Namaste scheme. National Action for Mechanized Sanitation Ecosystem or Namaste scheme was launched in 2023-24 as a central sector scheme. Before we sign off, let's challenge your understanding in today's installment of Test Your Learning. Thank you for joining us. We hope you found this episode of News Today engaging. For the solutions to the quiz and to access the PDF version of News Today, remember to visit the provided links in the description below.